afternoon from Austin. It's time for Texas basketball presented by Bud Light. This afternoon, we got a rematch of the Big 12 opener for both programs, Texas and Texas Tech. Red Raiders won that opener, but Texas a far different team since that game. Prince Ibeh did not score in game number 2 without Cam Ridley, but now he is a double threat. Paul Galindo here with Lance Blanks. Lance, what has changed with big number 44?
For big number 44, it's the big C word, low confidence. His team has confidence in him, his coach has confidence in him, and him has confidence in him in that he's getting the ball all over the floor. He's finishing around the rim. He's blocking shots. Low.
Do we have a misprint?
Making free throws.
Unbelievable.
Yes, he's making free throws like you did back in your day in the last 3 games. Look at that, 79%. Wow.
And staying on the court, foul trouble, not an issue for Prince anymore, as he's averaging 27.7 minutes per game in that 3-game stretch. Prince Ibeh holding it down in the middle for Texas. Isaiah Taylor running the point. Last time out against Texas Tech had a career-high 35 points. Coaches wanted more intensity and energy off the top. And for the second straight game, the leading scorer for Texas Tech, Devontae Williams, will come off the bench. Opening tip, corralled by Connor Lambert. Texas basketball to start out.
Yeah, and Tech shaking up things. Got Williams coming off the bench looking for a little offense. He had the big basket against Oak State to win that game.
Javon Felix letting it fly to open up with a 3. And there's some of that energy early on that was not present in Lubbock.
Yeah, and a little bit of a surprise because Texas has been going to Ibeh early, but they come out and get the clean look at a 3 from Felix.
Todrick Gocher right back at you. Gocher, the second leading scorer for Texas Tech at 11 points per game. First matchup had 18 points, 16 of them coming in the second half.
And I think these are 2 different teams than when they did play in that conference opener. Both teams have had a lot of games here in conference play, and Texas has been on the rise.
Prince Ibeh working on Matthew Temple. He's able to draw the foul, but this is the rebuttal from Tech.
Yeah, quick response is not something that Texas Tech does a lot of, that is shoot beyond the arc. They're looking usually to do most of their scoring either in transition or in the mid-range area of the floor.
Texas Tech very sound defensively.
Yeah, and they come out in a man. Often teams will play zone with Texas because of Isaiah Taylor. So it'll be interesting to see how Texas responds to this man offense. Felix taking advantage.
Little teardrop there.
Yeah, they're just Texas opening the floor and letting guys create, at least in this case with Felix.
Texas trying to pressure, get that 5 seconds. Tech is able to get the inbounds and cross the center line. Open corner 3. And Justin Gray, no go.
Well, that's a bonus for the press if they can force that kind of shot early in the clock.
Lambert passes it up. Felix, he's hot early on. Javon Felix, all 8 on the initial barrage from Texas. And Gray quickly to the bucket. Gets it past Prince Ibeh.
Yeah, and Ibeh's ability, he has an ability to block that shot. I thought he did a poor job of closing out at the rim.
Well, Euro step, no good. Rebound, Matthew Temple. Good pace early on from both teams. Temple putting the body into Prince Ibeh. That one's going to go out of bounds.
Boy, even with Ibeh's ability to block shots, Texas clearly going to be aggressive today. They're attacking him at the rim.
How about this? Matthew Temple started the season as a walk-on, won 2 fraternity championships in rec basketball at Texas Tech. Now he's going up against one of the hottest players in the Big 12 in Prince Ibeh.
Hey, a win's a win. If it's in your blood, it's in your blood.
Even if it's against frats, it counts.
Right. It counts.
Keenan Evans pulls up. Rebound, Kendall Yancey. And we've got a whistle. Foul goes against Texas. Isaiah Taylor picks up his first. And going back to that initial performance we saw against Texas Tech, those 35 points from Isaiah Taylor, coaching staff feels like there was a lot he left on the court because it wasn't the type of intensity they wanted off the start.
Yeah, and where Isaiah's gotten better is now he's able not to score so much and still get wins and do other things around the game, Lowell. And this game, speaking of which, is emblematic of what's been happening. Look, we got 8 points here early, and Felix is the one who's dominant because of that. And this team has just been getting it.
Down goes Tubby Smith. Javon Felix throws that one away. I believe Kendall Yancey got a good introduction to the national championship winning coach Tubby Smith.
Yeah, here with the
head on a swivel, Tubby.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. He can take it. Oh, nice feed to Temple. Temple once again going up against Prince eBay, and that time comes up victorious.
Well, Temple's doing the right thing in that you cannot be afraid, and going into the body of eBay makes it much more difficult to block shots for big. He's better when he's blocking shots off the ball or when he can get space from the defender, the offensive player.
This is where he's been so effective at pulling the trigger and doing it with confidence. This is the rim there.
And what you got to like here early by Texas Tech is they're going to attack. They're getting shots here early in the clock. And not only that, they're not afraid to shoot the three ball or attack the basket.
Good defensive rebound from one of the Energy brothers, Kendall Yancey. That's what Coach Shaka Smart is calling Kendall Yancey and DeMarcus Holland. Not everything they do shows up on the box score, but he loves the energy. Good post presence from Prince eBay. He's going to get called for the charge. Heads up basketball there from Matthew Temple.
Who would have thought it? Temple's really winning this battle here early with eBay on the defense end. He's buried on the rim, but does the right thing and takes that shoulder right into the chest. Here, attacking the zone. And then eBay gets caught in no man's land because he's helping, no one helps him. I'm not so sure you want to bring eBay out away from the basket, or he bring himself away from the basket, where he's had a lot of success this season defensively.
So while Texas brings two freshmen in the game, Eric Davis Jr. and Tevin Mack, Texas Tech brings in their leading scorer on the season, Devontae Williams. Gauger loses the handle, but there's contact before that, drawing the foul. Early on, it's been Javon Felix providing all the fireworks for Texas. He's got all 8. Horns up by 1.
I'm former United.
All 8 points in the early going provided by Javon Felix. He's outscoring Texas Tech by himself by 1. Welcome courtside. Lowell Galindo here with Lance Blanks. A little mix and match here with the start because there's been some good things, some bad things. The bad, 2 fouls early on from Isaiah Taylor. He's on the bench. What has Texas Tech done to counter that and really take advantage of that situation?
Yeah, Lowell, the bad for Texas is a function of the good for Texas Tech. They've attacked, and they haven't been afraid to go at people. They've gone at eBay at the rim, not afraid to go ahead and finish or put bodies in the bodies.
Whoa.
Temple putting bodies in the bodies.
I'm fragile here.
And then, AKA Little Lowell Felix has been impressive, like you would be on the floor. Knocking down the 3 to start the game, and then off the bounce, just clear the floor. And then, of course, the swing with a nice 3. Felix has been a pleasant surprise here early in this game.
Let's bring in the third member of our crew, Jane Slater, with more. Jane, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. Well, as Lowell, both of you guys were really saying, Tech is really attacking Texas early on the road. Texas just needs to get back to the brand of basketball they were playing against Baylor. They were the ones doing the attacking. They were the ones playing the physical brand of basketball. They said, you know what, Baylor is a physical team that can bully you if you let him, and he's liked the fact that his team didn't do that. They just need to step up and play that way today, guys.
Jane, thank you so much.
Great report, Jane. Jane, you almost had to pass the ball inbounds.
And she was right there on the baseline, ready to go.
She was in the action.
Put me in, coach.
That's right.
Put me in.
I love it. Don't say this crew isn't aggressive.
Kerwin Roach a little too aggressive. Tried to slap that ball away. Ends up drawing the foul.
I think this is where Texas has done a great job of managing the fouls here. Will be interesting to see if this comes into play. Namely, not having Isaiah, their floor leader, on the floor here early in this first half.
Kerwin Roach now out on the court. He's been stellar over the past 3 games as well, shooting better than 50%. But this about the defense right now. Zach Smith pulling up and over Tevin Mack. And Zach Smith, the top shooter on this Tech team at 51%, gives the Red Raiders the lead.
And he's the best shooter because he takes good shots like the one he took there. Takes his time. He's not very strong or big. He's again added a little strength from last season, but does a great job of taking what I call good shots.
Snoop Roach trying to break Keenan Evans down off the dribble. Let's go back to the bucket that we just saw from Zach Smith, capping a 6-zip run here for Tech.
And watch him get the space here. He creates space. And Max got to close that gap, even the 1.5, 2 feet, to give Smith, gives him enough space to get that shot off and clean at the rim.
Keenan Evans draws his first foul. Devin Thomas, backup point guard, now checking into the game for Texas Tech. It's been all Javon Felix early on.
Yeah, and important Felix becomes when you don't have Taylor on the floor. I mean, he's got to do some scoring here as well as handle the ball for this Texas team.
Nice pull up. High arcing. He misses everything. Williams coming back the other way.
And Tech doing a very good job of pushing the tempo.
Williams back iron. Eric Davis is looking for him. Snoop Roach didn't see him.
Yeah, he had tunnel vision there. You know, I attributed some of that to being a freshman. Good job of getting the ball out and forcing the action. But you've got to be able to see the whole floor. And that's an example of somewhere where you miss an Isaiah Taylor on the floor right now, because he has what's called a floor vision, where he can see things and use his peripheral vision and get the ball in the right people's hands.
How long do you think that takes a guy like Snoop Roach to develop?
I think this time next year, you begin to see the ability to make plays like that out of the side of your eye or over the top, win the pass, win the dribble. And it's patterns, Lowell. You've got to see these patterns an X number of times before they become comfortable and natural. That's an example of one right there. There was no pass to be made there, and the action was forced in the wrong direction for Roach, the young fella.
Turnover number 3 for Texas. Last 7 games, averaging only 8.6 turnovers per game, the second fewest in all of D1 basketball in that stretch. The Red Raiders look to go back into the paint. You said this is a Texas Tech team that's going to be aggressive. They're not going to jack a lot of threes. That's where we're going to try to do most of their work.
Yeah, they don't live and die by the 3 ball. They really want to play at the rim or in the mid-range area of the floor, and they do a very good job of it.
Well, this by no stretch is a gimme at all against Texas Tech, but after this, the schedule gets absolutely brutal for Texas. First of 2 matchups coming up against Oklahoma on Big Monday. You can see that 8 Central Time on ESPN or the ESPN app.
Yeah, this is the official upset conference of the NCAA, and there are no gimmies, as you mentioned, including Tech. I mean, this team here,
they've had some hard luck.
They have. They've lost some close games, as you mentioned, before the game started, and they've also got some good players. Williams, the senior guard, is a good player. So Texas has got to bring it if they want to be in this game.
Rattling around the rim, Roach gets the rebound. Trying to snap an 8-zip Texas Tech run. Red Raiders are also missing one of their best bigs, Norrence Odiase. Like Cam Ridley, out with a broken foot. Shaq Claire. Nice little turnaround in the post.
You know, those little chippies around the rim are important because they force the defense to have to adjust and create either driving lanes or shooting opportunities on the perimeter. Big time finish by Shaq.
Claire joins Javon Felix in the box score in the scoring column.
Good ball movement here by Tech. They just don't let the ball stick.
A nice spin from Williams. Gets it to go. That's his bread and butter, attacking the hoop. had the game winner in overtime to take down Oklahoma State. And the big rejection coming up from C.J. Williamson.
Yeah, and I'd be really wanting to watch Williams today, especially with him coming off the bench. He's looking to score, and he's as quick as anyone with the ball. And most importantly, has the green light by his coach.
Trying to get him going. He's been struggling with his shot. Wide open is Williamson. Temple did a good job finding him, and there's another foul, sending the Red Raiders once again to the line. This is how you break him down here.
Yeah, and he's under control. I mean, that, folks at home, that looks easy.
No, it doesn't.
Not an easy
What are you talking about?
finish to the left. I mean, the nice pirouette.
For a guy that has trouble dribbling a basketball, that does not look easy.
Not to you, to the folks at home. Of course, you know the deal there.
Yeah, right. Williamson misses the first attempt. But you brought up Williams. Devontae Williams, leading scorer, has been struggling with his shot, so Tubby Smith elects to bring him off the bench for the second straight game. Really wasn't working out Wednesday against Oklahoma State. He missed his first 7 shots. It wasn't until that make on the driving layup with a half-second left in OT for him to get on the board, but that's when they needed it the most.
Yeah, and I mean, coaches will do things like sending you to the bench or bringing you off the bench or doing anything they can to help you get it going offensively, and they need his offense. And in that Oak State game, Evans had the injury, which was a benefit, the great guard, freshman guard at Oklahoma State, which is a benefit to Texas Tech.
Davis with the drive. Texas was on a 1-for-6 clip until that Davis bucket. Texas within 2.
And Texas on the perimeter, they're going to need other people to step up. Davis is as important as any of these freshmen simply because of Taylor having the foul trouble here early.
Aaron Ross, rebound by Shaq Claire. Kerwin Roach certainly gets up, going at full speed awfully quick, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And both teams are doing a good job of transitioning and getting the ball into the front court and having a lot of clock to run offense.
Claire on Temple. Tevin Mack can't hit the 3. His first attempt from the field, and a loose ball off Matthew Temple. Looks like he's down and hurt.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a head or a shoulder, but I heard a loud pound to the floor.
One thing is for certain, Matthew Temple is battling right now.
Well, yes, he is. As you mentioned, I mean, coming out of the fraternity, Texas, they better get it right. Now have a lot
the
of
back
time.
of the head right there. You can see it on the replay.
College basketball on Longhorn Network is presented by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to the Irwin Center. Texas Tech leads Texas 14-12, but of more importance and concern at this point in time is the condition of Matthew Temple. The junior forward has not moved from the spot that he went down upon. Chasing a loose ball with Shaq Claire. If you see the replay, what happens is the knee of Claire goes flush with the back of the head of Matthew Temple. And now he takes a seat on the bench, but obviously, Lance, first and foremost, thinking about the condition of Matthew Temple, hoping he's okay.
Yeah, it just didn't look pretty. He stayed on the floor the entire time out. There, he's pretty shaken up. Pretty violent shot to the head.
He has been a huge surprise of a presence in the interior for Texas Tech. And without Odiase, they can't afford to lose more big bodies. Javon Felix, what's new? He's having one of those games when Javon Felix gets hot like this in the early going. Who knows what that point total is capable of rising to?
Yeah, shoots almost 40% from the 3 and one of the most dangerous shooters in this conference.
Smith ranging. Rebound, batted around, pulled down by Kerwin Roach. Prince Ibeh takes it off the back of the head Did not see that lead pass.
Okay, peripheral vision. You've got to realize and recognize that you've got a 7-footer ahead of you who's not going to be able to dribble and make a play out at 35 feet from the basket. Nice swing here. Felix feeling it, can't give him that much space. If you do, you're going to get dotted right in the eye.
Felix 3 of 3 from three-point range. Opening possession, that's when he hit the first. Let's check in with Jane, who has more on the condition of Matthew Temple.
Yeah, as you guys saw, junior Matthew Temple was having a hard time getting up from the floor after taking an elbow to the left eye. Team doctor's going to check him out, but they're definitely pulling him out of the game for a bit. They said they're going to give me an update here in just a bit, but he will not be on the court anytime soon. Guys.
Jane, thank you so much. Felix pulling down the rebound. Temple is still receiving attention over there on the Tech bench. Holland driving kick. Roach baseline. He's going to go to the line.
A nice pump fake by Roach, creating the driving lane on the closeout by Tech. I mean, that's what, when you can make three-point shots, that's what helps you with those, in that you can drive now. Felix makes a couple or a few. Roach is standing behind the arc. It forces teams to close out hard, which creates driving lanes.
After we are done here at the Irwin Center, head with us to the dish for the 2016 Texas Baseball Alumni Game. Texas Exes versus Longhorns today, 3:30 Central Time. Houston Street should be on hand. And happy birthday to Augie Garita, one of the all-time greats. Kerwin Roach hits the first 2 free throw attempts for Texas. Horns now up by 3.
With Temple on the bench, Texas has a huge size advantage. It'd be important to try to capitalize on this. There again, the foul bug hurting Texas. You really never want to foul a jump shooter, especially when you've got hands in his face and people are closing out. There's no need to foul in a situation like that.
So now Isaiah Taylor and Prince Ibeh with 2 fouls apiece. Gocher drew the contact, hits his first free throw attempt, shooting 86% from the line. One of the best free throw shooters in the Big 12. And this Texas Tech team, that was one of the differences in the win against Texas. They were nearly flawless from the free throw line. You've got one of the best free throw shooting teams in the Big 12 against one of the worst in Texas.
Yeah, and Texas has to understand you're not going to win this game in the first 10 or 15 minutes. You've got to win the game over time, wearing them down, that being Tech, making the right plays.
Shaka wants to talk about it. Timeout, Texas. So it's follow the leader here at the Irwin Center. Climb on the back of Javon Felix. He is carrying Shaka Smart's team in the first half. Texas up 17-16. Felix with 11 of those 17 Texas points. Isaiah Taylor, Prince Ibeh, both on the bench with 2 fouls. Felix getting some separation against Gocher. Can't get that one to drop.
Yeah, and Texas trying to generate offense off individual moves. You've got to pick the ball up, though, defensively. Can't let a guy drive 94 feet and lay the ball up. That's just poor defense and not something that's been emblematic of this Texas team on the defensive end this season.
Zach Smith going coast to coast, did not score in the first game against Texas. Claire feeling the pressure from the double team.
And the longer that Texas allows Texas Tech to get easy baskets and hang around, the more confidence they get, making it more difficult to get control of the game.
Long rebound to Javon Felix. What's happening with the Texas offense at this point with no Isaiah Taylor?
Well, you said it. There's no Isaiah Taylor, and because of that, it doesn't have a rhythm. So who's going to step up and provide that rhythm? It's not like not having Ridley, which is a little different because he's the big and he's not handling the ball as much. When you lose your primary ball handler, it's a big deal. It's something that they're going to have to collectively fix if they don't want to lose control of this game.
Texas Tech 2-7 since beating Texas in the conference opener. Shot clock winding down, and all the way uncontested to the rim is Keenan Evans. Beating the buzzer with the bucket.
Yeah, I mean, how many straight line drives have we seen already in this game where guys are just doing blow-bys and getting to the rim? Texas not playing great individual defense, which they've done a great job of, or team defense where you've got help coming over to stop drivers.
One of those plays that Prince Ibeh can clean up. The defense fails in front of him, but not on the court, as we've mentioned, with 2 fouls. Zach Smith, Keenan Evans, helping Texas Tech stick around. What am I saying, stick around? Texas is sticking around because the Red Raiders up by 3. With Lance Blanks as Texas Tech leads Texas 20-17. Lance, the Red Raiders with the 10-6 edge in points in the paint.
Kids at home, look, you've got a ball handler. Someone's got to stop him. You can't let him go 52 feet and get a layup. And look, no one stops him. Smith gets all the way to the rim. And then even in the half court, you got a big who steps out. You've got to get help. Where's the help? There's no help. So he takes it all the way to the rim. Straight line drive layup. That's just extremely poor defense, even when you have the mismatches that you have, because Tech has to play small. With Temple being injured, you've still got to match up and help the defensive player not allow layups.
So Tech lacking size with Prince Ibeh on the bench. Isaiah Taylor back in the game with 2 fouls. First shot since re-entering the game is off the mark.
Doesn't surprise me that Taylor's back in the game. It just, what it says to me is that the Coach Smart sees how out of rhythm Texas is offensively. He's got to generate offense, so it's worth taking the risk. Taylor's just got to stay out of foul trouble.
Texas not the only team here trying to find some size with Matthew Temple on the bench. You've got Rokas Uvidas in the game, playing in his 5th game of the season, and there's some Texas defense coming through, forcing that shot clock violation.
Yeah, Texas did a good job. That was their best defensive possession, I thought, all game long here in the half court. Now not allowing clean looks or lane drives or drives in the seams, something they've struggled with early in this game.
Quick move from Shaq Claire, defense there from Uvidas.
Uvidas did a great job of using his size. Claire doesn't do well vertical.
Jordan Jackson gets turned around midair. Came down hard. Taylor to the hoop, and good.
Yeah, how about the transition there? Basketball creating offense for Texas. Nice, easy, smooth break.
And that's something that Taylor gives you that Javon Felix does not at that position. The ability to get to the hoop.
Yeah, especially in the open floor. He's as quick as anyone in the nation. There he didn't finish. I'd have liked to have seen him take it all the way to the backboard, but he's impossible to stop in the open floor.
Williams trying to go back-to-back. Defense provided from Shaq Clay.
Well, how about the pace of this game?
Like it. Oh, nice feed inside. Lambert gets it to go off the little dump pass from Eric Davis. Lambert with his first bucket of the game.
Yeah, and Texas is using the transition basketball to generate the offense since they've been struggling in the half court. And it's boding well and playing in their favor.
Evans slicing through the Texas interior. And he draws the foul. This is what we know Isaiah Taylor can do, though. Get to the hoop.
Well, and how about the right pass by Felix? Get the ball in the middle of the floor. And when he's in that position, look at that. You just can't stay in front of him. The defense certainly wasn't set, but they were trying to get back. And if you're not set and Isaiah Taylor's coming at you, you can forget it. It's basket.
And Texas Tech knows all of this. Last time they saw him, Taylor put up 35 points, the most for a Texas player since Kevin Durant. However, even with those 35 points, Texas Tech really controlled that game, never trailed against Texas to get that win.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought Texas in Lubbock, they were a little punch drunk from, you know, the recent loss of their teammate Cam Ridley.
Game number 2.
Correct. They had the UConn game that they actually almost won here at the Irwin Center, and then had to go on the road to Tech. So that wasn't the same team as this team is now, with their confidence and rhythm and knowing where to get shots and how to get shots, and more importantly, how to win games without Cam Ridley.
Tevin Mack driving to the hoop. Good defense from Justin Gray to strip that one away. Williams ain't passing that one up. Fighting for the rebound, but with a miss is Justin Gray. Taylor full speed ahead. The dish to Javon, and gets the roll to go.
Yeah, and that's the pass that Roach has been struggling to make. We mentioned it earlier. And you said, when does a guy become comfortable with that? This is the pass. Look, he uses his peripheral vision. He's at a controllable speed so he doesn't get the charge, and gets it to the right man with the hottest hand today, Felix. And there, he had the little bell out after he made the pass, Lowell, to prevent himself from committing the charge. I mean, those are just little nuances that a guard like Taylor is able to do when he's as comfortable and good as a guard like Taylor is.
Felix converts on the three-point play. Having a day. Felix now with 14. And Texas taking the 1-point lead.
And Texas in a zone now. This will benefit Isaiah. Shouldn't foul in this because you're guarding an area and not a man.
Stripped away from Snoop Roach.
Lob.
Taylor's going to take it himself. And Isaiah Taylor heating up. Good to see him back on the court if you like the burnt orange.
And a different game for Texas.
Yeah.
They're in a rhythm, getting a lot of points in transition. But Taylor is the difference in that, not only when he's scoring, but when he's got the ball in his hands.
Starting to get the crowd involved as well.
And they're going to force Tech to play to their Achilles heel and try to keep them out of the paint, force them to shoot a three.
Thomas off the glass and good. We're tied at 26.
Is it 2 o'clock yet? Yeah, it's not. So
It
the
doesn't
bank's
matter.
still open.
It doesn't matter.
The banks don't close until 2 on Saturdays, fortunately for Texas Tech.
Tevin Thomas only a 17% three-point shooter.
I don't know that Thomas knows that ball even went in.
Kerwin Roach, rebound off the Aaron Ross miss.
I really like how they're getting the ball up the floor and finding people in transition.
Tevin Mack with the range from the corner. Bullseye on his second three-point attempt. Ross up against Mack and Lambert, and Aaron Ross pulls Tech within one.
Yeah, and Ross is a nice player for Tech. Doesn't have the most beautiful body, but he does a lot of things. He can finish, he can pass the ball, he sets screens. You know, he's a guy that just does what he has to do to stay on the floor and impact the game. And not great at any one thing, but just good enough and smart enough to be in the right place at the right time.
Beard game is working, however. Turnover Texas. Thomas electric to the hoop. And Devin Thomas now has 5, and Tech taking the lead back. Trading baskets here in the final 4 minutes of the first half.
And Tech is playing with an intensity. They're playing for their season. I think they'll be, as we talked about before the game, Lowell, you mentioned, they'll be a team potentially on the bubble.
Mack could not get the back-to-back attempt to go, but there with the second effort, Snoop Roach.
Texas doing a great job this game with something helping them is getting those long offensive rebounds, and Tech unable to consistently close out their defensive possessions.
5 rebounds for Kerwin Roach. Part of his game that is developing as of late over the past 3 games, averaging 5 rebounds per game, and he's right there with a minute and a half left to play in the first half. Looks like Thomas was trying to go off the backboard again.
Yeah, and he had a little bit of a mismatch there with Lambert guarding him, but I think he'd probably prefer to get to the rim than to have to shoot up over an outstretched arm of a Connor Lambert.
Texas has hit 5 of the last 7 from the field. Shooting 46% the first half. Minute left to play. Lambert with the flush. Wait a second. Wait a second. Was that Connor Lambert?
Yes, it was, with a big-time finish because of Isaiah Taylor on the nice pick and roll right down the lane.
He moonlights as a dunker when he's not extending the court and hitting those threes. The rare Lambert flush.
Yeah, and if you can get a stop here and finish with a three-point lead, potentially at least a three-point lead, if not more, you get a nice boost going into halftime, especially with this feisty Tech team who's been relentless. I think in this first half, especially coming at Texas aggressively on the offensive end.
Erwin Center on its feet. Last shot if Texas wants it. Of course, Tevin Mack wants it. Texas finishes with a flurry in an up and down first half of basketball. Tevin Mack making Tubby Smith wipe that sweat from his brow, feeling it a little bit with the way Texas closed the lead by 6 into the break. Here's Jan with Shaka Smart.
Coach, after struggling early, how did your team find that offensive rhythm to close out the first half?
Well, I think it actually was more about defense. You know, we weren't as aggressive as we needed to be on the defensive end early in the game. I thought we gave them too many easy baskets, but down the stretch of the first half, I thought we guarded better. They banked one in, but our guys were more aggressive actually in zone than we were in man.
How do you get away from some of the foul trouble in the second half?
Well, I think fouls occur when you're a half step off. So we got to be exactly where we need to be, when we need to be there, in a stance. And I think hopefully our guys got a little bit of a wake-up call there.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Shaka lost that voice last weekend against Vanderbilt. I don't know if that first half helped the cause in getting it back, but his Horns have the lead back up 36-30 against Tech at intermission. Mo Galindo back here with Lance Blanks from the Erwin Center as Texas is up on the Red Raiders from Lubbock 36-30. And Lance, at this point, really 8 games left in the Big 12 regular season for the Horns. Anything's possible. After beating Baylor, that means there's only 2 teams at 7-2 in conference play. And Texas is going to see one of those teams next in Oklahoma. What do you think about where they stand right now?
I think they stand in a great position, and you said it right. Anything and everything is possible in this conference. 1 or 2 games and you slip down pretty far, and in terms of losing, and 1 or 2 games won, you rise up to the top. I'm expecting a huge game and a big-time matchup against Oklahoma.
Leading scorers for the Longhorns. Javon Felix, 14 points. Started it right with the opening possession 3. After that, it's Tevin Mack, 6 points. His most points in a 6-game stretch. Jane Slater caught up with Tubby Smith. Jane, what did the Texas Tech head coach have to say?
Well, heading into the half, Shaka Smart told us it was defense that led to a better offensive performance from his team, and quite frankly, that's what Tubby Smith tells me he's looking for from his team. Better defense, better job doing the rebounds, just the things they know they need to do a better job at. I do have an update on Matthew Temple. Matthew Temple not coming back in this game. They've got him at a local ER where they're doing x-rays on that left eye that he ended up hurting when he got an elbow to it. Guys, back to you.
Jay, thank you so much. We hope everything is going as good as it possibly can with Matthew Temple at this point. But he's looking at the leading scores. The loss to Temple, that's big on the court for this Texas Tech team right now.
Yeah, because of injuries with the bigs, and then they just don't, being Tech, they don't have a lot of size, so they need as much size as they can get, especially playing against Texas, who've got size all over the place, even though eBay's having trouble, you know, with his early foul situation, just unable to get the blocks or impact the game. He's typically done it. And I think that's in large part because you've got a lot of smaller bodies on the floor, which is not always easy to guard. And also, if Texas isn't playing a zone, it forces you to play out on the perimeter where he's going to be least effective on the defensive end of the floor.
Gocher and Williams, the top 2 leading scorers for Texas Tech, have combined for 9 points. In Lubbock in the Big 12 opener, Williams had 23 points and Gocher with 18. So they have been held relatively in check here in the first 20 minutes. Second 20 minutes upon us. Red Raiders starting with the rock. Keenan Evans running the point.
Yeah, and both coaches want defense. I mean, Shaka, the Texas Longhorns have held them to under 40%, but it's the buckets that they are scoring. They've been easy looks, so they've got to put a little more pressure on them and make it a little more difficult for them to get easy looks at the basket.
Smith back out to Evans. 2 on the shot clock. Evans just going to scoop it up. At least gets a new 24. And Lammert with the rejection. We've seen a flush and a squat from Connor Lammert, and Isaiah Taylor draws the foul.
Yeah, good transition from defense to offense in the right play by Isaiah. Evans gets a rebound, and then look at that.
Whoa,
block.
it's clean.
Yeah, and that's what it should be like. I mean, it should be like volleyball for Texas Longhorns anytime that they get people around the rim.
Lammert with his 12th block this season. Taylor hits his first free throw. Connor Lammert, though, he was huge in that win against Baylor. 15 points, 3 of 4 from three-point range, and in the final minute, really had that three-pointer that sealed the deal for Texas.
That's where he's been special to me. The timeliness of his baskets have been excellent for this Texas team and helped them in multiple games during the season.
One of those guys that we've seen multiple times in the previous 3 years do it in practice, but like Prince Ebay, it's clicking on the court, transitioning from practice to a game this year.
Yeah, and it's about no hesitation, and that's a big function of Shaka and the job he's done with these guys.
Cutting aggressive to the hoop is Justin Gray.
Again, we're seeing the defense break down, and the bigs for Texas have to space a little bit, one to help, but also to prevent these easy drives to the basket, which are breaking down the defense and creating easy layups.
Both teams with 18 points in the paint. We've got an offensive foul on Texas.
Yeah, I think that was on eBay against Ross. I missed that one. You have to keep in mind, though, they're calling a lot closer game than they were in previous years. That is the referees and officials and the new rules.
Let's see if eBay gets back on track. Shaka Smart's going to let him play with 3 fouls.
And see, this is a mismatch. You got Lammert on Evans. Evans can take him off the bounce. I mean, I thought that's where this breakdown, just their start with the shot by Ross. Anytime you allow guys to get a foot in the paint, it forces the defense to collapse, which creates easy opportunities if it's a willing passer.
Felix lets it rip. Kendall Yancey ends up with a loose ball. Second chance for Texas. Gray a little aggressive on the defense against Kendall Yancey.
This game reminding me somewhat of the way it started, with the exception of the Felix barrage of threes, and that the rhythm is a little disjointed, a little out of kilter, if you will. I think that works to Tech's benefit. They want to make this game as ugly and nasty as they can and keep Texas out of a rhythm offensively.
Tight defense. Taylor flips it up. Was looking for Prince Ebay on the flush. I'm impressed that Taylor was able to slip through that defense right there to begin with.
Yeah, you're just not going to keep Taylor in front of you. And then Ebay unable to slip in behind the defense. That's what I call a good foul, because you don't want the big dunk and to potentially ignite this Texas roster.
Taylor, how'd he get that to go, Lance?
That was an NBA next level move, to go under the outstretched arms of the defense and finish with that kind of spin off the rim.
And then nearly forces the turnover.
Wow, what a big time play.
And Gray, huge play in the game, is going to go to the line. It looks like we have foul number 4 on Prince, but Javon Felix is raising his hand saying, give it to me.
He's trying to take it. Let's see. They fall for it. Here is where Texas Tech has excelled this game, just attacking the defense, and namely Ebay in the rim.
They're going to give it to Javon Felix. What do you think, Lance?
I think Javon is one of the smarter players on this team and knows when to raise his hand, not only in class, but on the floor.
Give it to me.
Give it to me. Hey, he was in the area. But how about Taylor?
The magician.
Watch this. He goes under the outstretched arms and finishes on the other side. Watch this. I mean, that's a big-time finish. Boy, you get paid to do that next year, possibly.
Well, okay, so the guys that are going to pay you to do that, how are they feeling seeing a shot like that?
Oh, they like a shot like that. That's called the ability to finish, and that, to me, translates to the next level. No pun intended. He took it to the next level in terms of how he finished, but it's a big-time basket.
Gray gets the split. Tech down 5.
Yeah, just hanging around that Texas Tech. That's what they're going to have to do if they want any chance to potentially strike with this Texas team. Keep Texas from making runs and consistently making runs on offense and defense, and I think that's what they've done thus far this game.
Felix trying to get the bounce. Claire, second and third chance, no go. And Texas Tech the other way.
Yeah, the difference in that offensive rebound, I thought, was not having eBay there. Ross and Shaq, Claire run about the same height, which allows Texas Tech to have a better chance of closing out defensive possessions with rebounds.
eBay on the bench, scoreless with 3 fouls. 4 on the shot clock. Once again, it is Keenan Evans getting into the paint. Both teams now with 20 points in the paint.
And Texas is just inordinately allowed Tech to get one to the middle of the floor, but into the paint. Now, I can't say it enough times. Once you do that, defense collapses, and it's difficult to get consistent stops.
Lambert turns it over. But Texas Tech, they see the obvious, the glaring weakness in the post for Texas. And it doesn't look like they're going away from that. They want to attack.
No, and they've attacked all game long, which is why eBay is sitting on the bench right now. But Texas doesn't have the luxury of turning the ball over. There's something they've done a good job of up to this point in conference play, or just playing sloppy. They've got to play good, solid basketball because this Tech team is good enough. They've shown that.
Offensive rebound, Texas Tech. Already 9 turnovers for Texas. Again, averaging 8.6 over the past 7 games in which they are 6-1. Second fewest turnovers per game in that stretch. More opportunities, and Justin Gray making the most of it. Gray now has 7 points.
Yeah, and just creating opportunities. That was another offensive rebound. They're doing a good job. That is Texas Tech. Gang rebounding on either end of the floor and doing everything they have to do to stay in this game.
Lambert can't find the handle. We got a wrestling match and get a little chippy there. Frustration coming into play. Texas Tech came here to do some work. Wreckham Tech doing exactly that. Down by 1. Texas Tech has played back-to-back overtime games. Last time out, they won in overtime against Oklahoma State. Tubby Smith said, huge confidence booster. And they're playing with that edge here.
Yeah, they're playing with a level of desperation, too, that's coming through. This team is a believing team. As you mentioned, they beat Oak State. And they're doing everything they have to do to stay in this game. And a big part of that is because they're attacking the basket and unafraid to beat this Texas team off of the dribble.
After the jump ball, Texas gets possession. 5 on the clock. It's winding down. Does Taylor realize it? He does. Gets it to go from 3-point range. Taylor with 11 points. His first 3-point make from the field, and the steal. But the rejection on the other end. It stays alive. Lambert, the kick to Felix.
They're going to win this one off by Taylor.
Yep.
It was the right call, I thought, because Taylor's got to stop when making that pass. Here you'll see the drive along the baseline here. And then watch him keep going. Here, he'll make the pass. He didn't have to necessarily get in the air, but what he did is he forced the official to have to make that call. Nice jump stop in the pass would have completed the play because Javon did make the three-pointer.
Isaiah staying in with 3 fouls.
And I think, some teams, aside from Texas struggling because they had just lost Ridley and trying to find themselves when they played at Tech, some teams just match up better with other teams. And it's a case where Tech here is basically forced to play small ball, and because of that, they're able to take advantages of the mismatches that occur out in the open floor or in half-court offense on the exterior, not in the paint, where they can break down the bigs.
And this 3-6 Big 12 record deceiving for Texas Tech. They've been in a lot of tight games where they've let it go, like Eric Davis lets go of the rock in the final couple minutes of games. That's where Texas Tech has really seen the difference against teams like Kansas as they started to run away in the late portions of that game. But Joe Lunardi, at this point, he says Texas Tech in the conversation for the NCAA tournament. At this point, Joe Lunardi lists the Red Raiders essentially as the 8th team out of the NCAA tournament if it were to start today.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think today they are out, but if they get another win or two, big win or two, particularly in this conference, with the way that these teams are ranked in the nation.
Yeah, you're going to have opportunities.
Absolutely, you'll have opportunities, and they're good enough to do it, especially in Lubbock, which is a difficult place to play.
Hesitation move from C.J. Williamson, and he hesitated a little too much. Stop and go, draws the travel. Only turnover number 5 for Texas Tech.
And that's been a key to the game because when they've gotten the ball, they've turned it into opportunities, and you don't want to give too many of those up. But they've been great with taking care of the ball. And also, you can live with that kind of turnovers. It's the live ball turnovers that really hurt you. Those are the ones where there's no whistle and you've got to just transition back into defense.
Turnover number 12 for Texas. Offensive rebound, and the second chance for Keenan Evans is going to send him to the line. Texas Tech playing with an edge right now. You mentioned it just a little bit ago, doing the dirty work.
Yeah, in desperation. I mean, watch the gang. They've got, look at that, 1, 2, 3. They've got 4 people back. And, this is one of those games where Texas has got to find a way to match their level of urgency. And it's that kind of game, it's that kind of conference. And you can get up for the UNCs and for the Kansases and games like that. Anyone can get up for, but you've got to get up and execute against Texas Tech as well.
And this is the look that troubled Texas in the first half when Isaiah and Prince both were on the bench. Felix, tough to the hoop. A little contact, and that one did not go down.
Yeah, and I think right now Texas Tech is just maximizing what they have in terms of personnel and situation.
Evans just bullied Eric Davis on that play.
And he's just as quick as anyone off the dribble here. And he saw an opportunity and created the contact, which translated into a foul. And the Texas perimeter players have got to do a better job of what I call spacing properly. If you get too close to these ball handlers for Tech, one, with the way they move the ball, and two, with their ability to put it on the floor, you're going to have blow-bys all game long with only 12:46 left to play.
Eric Davis to the bench. Mr. Energy, DeMarcus Holland, checks in, hoping to provide Texas with the spark they sorely need at this point. Evans splits. 2-point Texas lead. And all this damage done with Gotcher and Williams, top 2 leading scorers, combining for only 9 points. Let's check in with Jane.
Well, Eric Davis Jr. is typically this team's cheerleader, and you can see he's getting a little down right now. He's basically had 2 turnovers, and you can see the guys constantly coming over to reassure him. As he's coming off over to the bench, you can see Shaka Smart. He was talking to him. The real big thing for him there is just response. He wants his team to realize that, you know what, you can disappoint me out in the court, but it's how you respond. So that was likely what Shaka was talking to Eric Davis Jr. about.
Kerwin Roach bailed out with the shot clock winding down.
Well put, Jane, and I think that's been one of the keys to this Texas team's success. And Coach Smart really looks for and coaches to a lot of the nuances of being competitively balanced in the game. And that's a function of how you respond to mistakes, how confident you are, how good of a teammate you are, and your desire to consistently get better, not only physically as a basketball player, but emotionally and mentally.
Javon Felix the spin against the teardrop to go. Felix now with 16 points. Follow me, he says to his Texas teammates.
Yeah, and Felix has been a big key this game. One, we talked about it at the outset with this barrage of points, but
Tevin Mack with the steal. The no-look to DeMarcus Holland. And Aaron Ross with a hard foul. You see the energy from Coach Shaka Smart there. Telling Tevin Mack that is the kind of juice that we need. They say ACL, aggressive, confident, loose. Javon Felix doing all and a little more. Javon Felix getting the guys together as he has led the way with 16 points, 6-12 shooting. The Texas holds on to a 4-point lead, but Lance, this has that type of feel where it seems like almost Texas Tech is that team setting the tone, even though they are the team that trails.
Yeah, I'm a guy who believes in vibe. Okay,
I know you do.
You know about holistic, you know about organic.
Yeah,
well, here's another one. Vibe I believe in, and I believe the vibe starts on the Texas roster, and the vibe to me is such that the expectation of winning these games and coming in and thinking, okay, we're going to potentially roll over this Tech team has created the type of environment that you're talking about. And I think it's the difference in being a very good team and what this Texas team is and transitioning that to being a great team where you go in and you take each opponent as an opponent who's dangerous and can beat you on any given night.
Offensive foul, Aaron Ross. It's so interesting, though, as I checked out practice a day ago, one of the best energetic practices, intense practices with the players taking charge of the practice that I've seen from this group this season.
Yeah, and I'm going to speak to that in this way. One of my former teammates and dearest brothers in life, Joe Dumars, once said that Chuck Daly said that the shoot-around at 11 o'clock has nothing to do with the game at 7 o'clock at night. And so often coaches will try to measure practices against games, and there's often no correlation between the two. Time has gone by. This is a day game. It's sunny outside. Sometimes the biorhythms, not to get too weird on you, can affect how a team shows up at 1 o'clock for game time.
Well, that's why with the early 11 a.m. tip against Vanderbilt, Shaka Smart said it's all about winning breakfast. Apparently, they did not win brunch this afternoon.
Exactly. Yeah, well put. And I played in Europe, and they were very good over there about making practices exactly when games were going to be played, because they had this belief that you wanted your body to be in the same biorhythm as the games. And in this side of the ocean, it's not as much emphasized because teams will play when gyms are available based on the school and the university. But I think some teams, even in the NBA, have changed their philosophy and tried to push practices back and mirror them when games are going to be played, because truly that can affect your body in terms of routine and what you're comfortable with.
And as you know, obviously so much easier to manage that professional basketball compared to college hoops, where you have to worry about maybe the most important thing, getting to class and juggling all the different schedules with every different player on this team.
Correct. Point well taken and well made. You've got to balance class schedules. You've got to manage it with the women's team and availability with recruiting and so forth. So there are a lot of hurdles, but that's why they get paid the big bucks, these coaches. When they can figure and solve that out, you're just looking for an edge to compete in games and win them.
Tevin Mack starting to heat up here. 8 points. Most points in 6 games since putting down 14 against Iowa State. Since that performance, only shooting 5 of 20 from the field. 2 of 5 here, though. Javon Felix getting up with coaching.
Tevin Mack is what you call a streaky shooter. He is feast or famine.
Yeah. And the way Shaka refers to him, not even a shooter necessarily. DeMarcus Hollins. Breakaway flush. The Energy Brother energizing the Irwin Center.
Yeah, and measure it from here. Up 9 with the dunk. Now the crowd is awake with 10 minutes to go. There you go. Tubby's trying to pour water on the fire that Texas is trying to ignite.
It's heating it up with the Kindle. DeMarcus Hollins. You're looking at the most spoiled kid in the house, because that is Mack Brown's grandson. And the way Mack has told me, no changing diapers and no rules when it comes to spoiling the grandkids. In the net, brought to you by Bass Pro Shops, it's DeMarcus Hollins.
Yeah, DeMarcus there kicking off a little bit of a run. And Tubby feeling the vibe of the game and the momentum shift. Calls a quick timeout. I thought maybe the smartest move all game by Coach Smith.
Trying to stop the bleeding here, and it does not work. Turnover, Texas Tech.
Yeah, and Tech thought they had a mismatch with Smith down low, with being guarded by Felix. But Felix so low to the ground. Look at that. Small body draws the foul there. I don't know exactly what the officials saw, but definitely working to the advantage of Texas.
Felix driving kick. Good ball movement. Tevin Mack short on the three-point
And
attempt.
Lowell, sometime when momentum shifts, it just gets infectious with everything, even the calls that officials make. And I thought that was an example of it down on the block.
But what effect does it have on you when your team is rolling and the opposing coach calls that timeout?
Well, it can go either way. So far it's worked to Tech's benefit, because Texas hasn't been able. They did get the foul there, called the offensive foul called on Texas Tech with Javon Felix, but they haven't been able to capitalize offensively.
But this time the call goes against Principe. No points now, 4 fouls as Aaron Ross went at him.
And I think this is a tough game for eBay for a number of reasons, starting with the matchup situation. I mean, these are smaller guys that he's having to go against. And then as good as he is with his feet on the perimeter, in some cases, depending on the matchups here with Texas Tech, it's just not a fair fight. And then secondly, I think eBay's become a victim of his own recent success.
Great point.
I mean,
Great point.
We've seen some phenomenal outings and built him up to be the second coming, and sometimes that's a little difficult. We forget that these are very young guys, 20, 21, 22 years old, and they're still developing not only as basketball players but as people, and parents know that who raise kids, that it can be 2 good days and 3 bad days and so forth.
And you also see the stat line, past 3 games, 13 points per game. That really started with a performance against TCU. eBay, though, did not score in double digits in the 78 games before TCU.
Yeah, great find there, Lowell, with the statistics on his performances before the recent ones. And yeah, I mean, it's just not something he does, that being score. And we talked about it earlier in the game. Part of his success has been a function of Shaka forcing him to be successful, believing more in him than he's believed in himself.
You brought up the point we've seen recently. They've gone to Prince in the early goings of games. Was the effort there? And how much, maybe if it wasn't, was because of the foul trouble with Prince?
Yeah, great point and question. And you have to ask yourself the question of, does Felix's barrage and getting going early offensively, how much effect did that have on eBay? Let's not forget, perimeter players, they're going to handle the ball. They're involved in the game from the outset. Whereas the bigs, they're receivers of the ball. And so I think some of eBay's success has been a function of Smart forcing guys to throw him the ball, as we saw with Ridley, even though he's a little bit better offensive player. And so I think it is important that we not forget that eBay has been getting help from teammates and his coaching staff with plays, and that wasn't the case tonight because he didn't see the ball a lot early with post plays.
We go from free throws to free throws as Holland picked up a foul to put Zach Smith on the line. Both teams in the bonus. 8.5 minutes to go here at the Irwin Center. Texas up by 6. Largest lead for the Horns, 9 points.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a zone here.
And Felix getting it to go.
Yeah, and Felix saw a zone and a seam and capitalized on it. You know, I'm really not a fan of zones, and this is why. Somebody's got to pick him up and get in front of him. And the challenge with zones is you're guarding an area, but you're also guarding the man that's in that area. And what about when the ball shifts or there are two people in your area? Felix, to me, one of the smartest players in college basketball, honestly. Took advantage of it, but unable to finish with his free throws.
They saw that Baylor zone and sliced that up.
Bad foul.
Shot through it as well.
Just a bad foul. I mean, Lammert and Felix had him corralled. Just hold your position. There's no need to get overzealous or over-aggressive. You've got one of the smaller players in Evans and one of the better ball handlers. You got him here. Just move your feet. Move your feet. No, now the reaching starts, and then the foul comes with it.
So not a problem with the call, problem with the way they play defense.
Major, yes, and not so much the initial defense, the secondary defense of feeling like, okay, we've got him trapped. Now we have to make a steal. You don't. You've got him trapped. You accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Force him to make a great play instead of you making a silly one. And now Tech extending their zone. It's a soft zone, but they'll run a little clock here and force Texas to make some decisions, but they're going to stay in the zone. Let's see if Texas can either shoot over the top or get in the seams.
Taylor going behind the back.
The zone is really soft, so they're going to want to keep the ball out of there.
No McPhee from Zay Taylor to Shaq Claire. And Claire with 4 points.
Boy, that's just a backbreaker. You run that much clock and then give up the layup. Nice job, both by Claire in finishing, but by Isaiah with the nice pass down to the baseline.
Wish people could see how engaged Shaka Smart is courtside right now, watching his defense go to work.
Yeah, this is close time. He can feel it, you know, with only 7:15 left to go in the half. Up 8, you do not want this Tech team to hang around. As you mentioned, they've been close in a lot of games, and they have the personnel to finish out a game with a victory.
Gocher and Williams only 9 points. They've been non-factors. Roach, offensive rebound.
Well, that's just frustrating and demoralizing for teams when you're not able to finish the rebound, especially when you've got a rebounder near. Don't tip that ball out. Go ahead and corral it with both hands.
The lob up top. Roach doesn't throw it down, but he does enough to drop it into the cylinder.
Yeah, and it's because of the arc of that ball. It was the right pass, but that pass needs a little more zip on it if you want Roach to catch it and finish, but he's got hang time low, so he can hang and finish it.
And you see on the left-hand side of your screen, Shaka engaged.
Boy, you ask, and then there it is, Low. How about that team putting it right on the camera there?
Our crew
on
coming
the
up
screen.
big time as well as Keenan Evans does for his crew. So Kerwin Roach was going up for some of these. Shaka said problem was he was actually jumping too high. Here we got it down. Not a throwdown, but enough to give Texas that lead, 56-49.
College basketball on Longhorn Network is presented by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Great day for hoops at the Irwin Center and baseball at the Dish. 2016 alumni baseball game coming up next at 3:30 Central Time. Lance, that's where I'm heading after this ball game. Have a hot dog, hang out with the fam. You should come out and hang out with us.
You're the man. I might do that. It's a beautiful day out there. Did you order in the weather that we're having today?
I could not take credit for that, but I will. What the heck? Yes, I did.
I saw you order a shot of Coach Smart on the sideline.
There we go.
With the split screen. I figured you could work some magic on the weather as well, Lowell.
Shaka, the way he's worked his magic holds true with this Texas team. I'm sure he's capable of that, because quite a turnaround for this team. When Cam Ridley went down before the matchup against UConn, really was no telling what you would get from this Texas team.
Yeah, and one of the challenges for Coach Smart, which he's done a great job, is you're trying to build an identity, a culture, a philosophy into these players and win games simultaneously. And he's done a great job of doing both.
Oh, did you see Javon Felix get back in front of Justin Gray to get that rebound?
Yeah, and I want to mention it again. I talked about it earlier in the game, and you mentioned Felix. The reason this Texas team is so difficult to beat is it truly could be any guy on any given night or day, for that matter. And today it's Felix coming up with the offensive rebound, beating people off the dribble into the paint. I thought his early 8 in a row points were one of the keys to keeping this team alive and in the game early when they had to withstand the attack by Texas Tech.
Tevin Mack has had some big shots. DeMarcus Holland, the steal and the dunk.
Yeah, and the timeliness of that steal and dunk by Holland was important and impressive. Forced the timeout by Coach Smith, as he could feel the momentum shift in this game.
Another whistle. Irwin Center disagrees.
Yeah, it's a tough call there. I thought Felix did a good job of moving his feet and holding his position. You're not going to get every call, but where is the call? I'm not so sure. Saw the call. I think the fans are right in that. But you know what? Over the course of a season, I think those balance out.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas got one earlier with Felix. I'm not so sure that he was fouled, and Texas got the foul. So, you know, over the course of a season and a game, those calls balance both ways, and it evens out. Can't let them bother you either way.
Approaching 5 minutes left in the second half. Texas up by 7. Past 7 games, the Horns with 6 players averaging at least 7.7 points per game. Isaiah Taylor, the man leading the way. Another eye-opener for those pro scouts.
Wow.
Lambert, too much contact.
And now, Lowell, did that look easy or difficult?
Isaiah?
Yeah.
That made it look easy.
It was a very difficult shot. That was acrobatic. Watch, he'll stop. He stops on a dime with the left foot jump stop, and then fade away bank.
But it's smooth.
Oh, it's smooth and beautiful, but very, very difficult.
I'm not saying I can do it.
Yeah, I'm not saying I can do it, but
I'm just saying Isaiah Taylor makes it look like that's just part of his repertoire.
Well, it is, and it ain't easy.
There's Jane with more on Zay.
Yeah, you know, I talked to the coaching staff, and assistant coach Mike Morrell says Isaiah Taylor really just doesn't get the credit that he thinks that he deserves. Sure, at different points this year, we talked about Cam and Prince Ibeh, and deservedly so. But he said if you look at his minutes, you look at the points, the way he controls the game, he said he thinks that he's one of the best point guards in the country. If you just look at this game alone, 4 points in the first half when he was getting into foul trouble, and now I believe that he's now up to 13. He just not only can get the ball in the basket, but he also makes the guys around him look better, guys.
And it's not just scoring the basketball, because again, the 35 points in the first matchup against Texas Tech, coaches will tell you they challenged him after that game to do more.
Yeah, and the more you say, well, what more can he do if he's scoring 35 points?
A big bucket there from Gocher. You do not want him to get hot if you are rooting on the Burnt Orange.
Yeah, and the thing that Taylor can do is control the game through getting the ball to the right people at the right time, deciding when to pressure the defense in terms of attacking the rim, talking to guys. It's just numerous things you can do. Straight pass. Good call. That ball had a little more zip on it, and that allowed the catch and the dunk. Nice pass by Isaiah.
Yeah, Snoop threw it down that time.
Yes, he did.
He's good for at least one of those a game. Snoop Roach from Houston with a little flavor.
And you talk about Isaiah being one of the best in the country at what he does. Snoop is one of the best at what he does in the country as well with his athletic ability. He can come off the floor and from a vertical standpoint as well as anyone in this nation. And as he adds to his game, he's going to be a player to be reckoned with this for these Texas Longhorns.
Tech needs to start putting together some stops. 3:10 left to play. Lambert, it's closing time for Connor Lambert.
Vintage Lambert, he does it game in and game out. When you need to close, I don't understand why people leave him open with those kind of looks. But Texas seems to find him, and opponents seem to leave him open late, and he's been closing them out all season long with big-time threes late in games.
Well, Felix thought about letting it rip. It's going to slow it down. 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah, and Texas has done an excellent job of pulling Texas Tech out of that zone that they tried here midway through the second half. And now it's just about closing and beating people off the dribble.
Like that, on cue, Kerwin Roach. Shaka's liking it. 10 points, 7 rebounds for the true freshman. Aaron Ross silencing the Irwin Center with a timely three. But Snoop Roach, the freshman, triple jump champ, taking off, showing off the vertical. Gliding, Isaiah with the feed. Texas up 67-57. For our turning point, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Connor Lambert.
Oh, he's been special all season long, coming up with these big threes late in games. And though the score wasn't closer, I think this is a closing type three because he sent the lead to 13 points. And those are just demoralizing for opponents. They're like daggers late in the game.
Well, late in the game, we've got a situation on the court here. We had the little dance party we typically see at the Irwin Center. For the first time, we had some major spillage. Someone spilled a drink near half court, and that's what is attempted to be cleaned up at this point. The officiating crew is not too excited about this delay.
Yeah, and doing a good job of making sure that
supervising.
Yeah, all this water and slipperiness is off of the floor.
That wasn't water.
Yeah.
That was not water.
Are you sure of that? I'm looking at those eyes.
I didn't take the taste test, but I can guarantee you, from looking at a lot of drinks in the course of my life, that was not water. Hey, we still got 2:03 left.
I wouldn't
Let's
know.
go. Hold it together.
About that.
Hold it together,
If
Lance.
it's clear to me, if it's clear, it's water as far as I'm concerned.
Collision. Taylor is able to get up behind the back. Oh, Roach wanted it all, but offensive foul.
Yeah, and again, I hate to pick on Roach, but decision making, just because you break the press and you have seemingly what looks like a break, and Lambert's telling him that you don't have to go try to finish that.
Yeah.
Especially you've got a 10-point lead with under 2 minutes to go in the game. Here, if there's nothing there, you don't have to create something. You can just take the ball out and wait to get a better look at the basket.
1:45 left. Texas Tech getting closer to desperation time, and Javon Felix He's able to draw that offensive foul.
Yeah, and I thought that was an example of getting one to play back in your favor, because the one before this, and Felix has been involved in many of them today where I thought they could have or should have gone the other way, or maybe not even been called. But here you see it balancing out with Felix getting a beneficial charge call.
Felix with a heck of a game, 20 points, 7 of 14 from the field, also 4 rebounds. Had to do a lot of the heavy lifting without perhaps the top 2 players at this point in time, the way they are playing on the bench with Isaiah Taylor and Prince Ibeh. A little coming back down to earth for Prince Ibeh. No points in this game. Perhaps he will end up scoreless for the first time since they opened up Big 12 play against Texas Tech.
Yeah, and that's okay, because obviously Texas has the personnel to fill that vacuum and fill the void that he left without the points and blocks and, you know, the stuffing of stats that he typically brings to the table. You know, each player, you know, comes with an identity and a purpose. And I think, to me, Felix is the most important player on this Texas team. Isaiah is the best player. Ibeh is the guy that anchors their defense, obviously, and brings a level of energy, but each player plays an important role in this team's success.
Texas Tech bringing the energy. Somehow Snoop Roach ends up out of the scrum with the basketball, and Texas Tech forced to foul here with 1:25 left to play.
Yeah, when we talk about the peripheral vision, he's laughing, Roach is, because he didn't look up and see Felix, who forgot to get back on defense. Little half cherry picking action, but nevertheless, Roach picked up the foul.
Keenan Evans fouls out. Nothing to hang his head about. 14 points to lead the way for Texas Tech. I think really impressive is when you look at Devontae Williams, Todrick Gocher, what they did coming into this game, averaging on the season a combined 23 points per game, to see that box score and to see it combined 12 points. Texas defense able to neutralize the top 2 scores for this Texas Tech team.
Yeah, and they just struggled. We talked about Williams coming off the bench, and, you know, trying to generate offense, which he was unable to do, and Texas just did a good job of staying with it.
Isaiah Taylor with the rebound.
Even when they were attacked by Texas Tech, you know, in the first half of this game.
Well, this is a different Texas team from the one we saw open up Big 12 play against Texas Tech. Far different than the team we saw go to TCU and lose in a shocker. Since that game, they've won 6 of the past 7. The only loss in that stretch at Fog Island Fieldhouse. Nothing wrong with that 7-game stretch if that's your only blemish.
And I tell you what I like about the Texas team, not only with different people showing up, you've got to find ways to not play your best basketball and yet still win games. And that's what we saw today.
Yeah, good point.
This was not great Texas basketball. Ibeh didn't have his traditional game. Taylor had the foul trouble. So yet again, and we've talked about this, Lowell, they've learned how to overcome adversity. Very, very difficult to beat this Texas team. Shaka's got these guys believing and playing at a level that fans, Longhorn fans, hadn't seen in some time.
Who's next? Who's next?
It's going up to a little rivalry game. Boy, that's going to be a fun one to watch, Lowell, as Texas gets the win here in the Irwin Center.
Texas improves to 7-3 in Big 12 play, staying 1 game behind the Big 12 leaders in those conference standings. And up next, it is #1 Oklahoma on the road. And now for our most dependable player of the game, powered by Chevy Silverado, it's Javon Felix. 20 points, 7 of 15 from the field, 3 of 7 from three-point range. And it was the way it started, Lance. We knew from the get-go, Javon Felix showed up ready to carry his team. And with the foul issues experienced from Isaiah Taylor and Prince Ibeh, they needed all of those 20 points to get them to this point.
Yeah, he came out firing right away and carried them, reeling off 8 in a row. And he didn't stop. He just chipped away. The Leaks did all game long, getting key baskets at key moments for this Texas Longhorn team. A tough team to deal with. Another chink in their belt and another big win, Lowell. Javon had an awesome game, knocking down threes and getting it done. He was all over the floor, out of the gate with the big three, and then off the bounce, takes the big. Smith finishes over the top, and then again, he had 3 baskets in a row to start the game. The 8-0 run, and this proved to be incredibly crucial for this Texas team. And in the second half, he followed it up with some more impressive play. And who's sitting with our star of the game, Javon, but Jane Slater. Let's go down to Jane.
You just caught him waving to his adoring crowd. All right, you finished this game with 20 points. You started off hot. Why were you seeing the basket so well early on?
Coach drew a play up the first play of the game. He asked me did I want a 3. I was like, yeah, so can't tell him you want to play for you and miss it. And it went down, so that already just gives me confidence to keep shooting.
What did you think about this team's resolve as they were struggling offensively early on?
They're a really good team. We knew they were going to come out and fight. And then they've been in every game in the Big 12 play. So we knew what kind of game it was going to be with them. They was going to never give up. Their coach do a really good job of, keeping them competing and keeping them in the games. And their defense is really good also. So we knew that they were going to be in the game.
To be able to fend off 2 very physical teams in Baylor and now Texas Tech, what does it say about this team as you enter this really tough stretch in February?
It just says we're getting better. We got the right things in mind, approaching every day just to get better. We just got to keep pushing.
Good stuff. Congratulations on the win. Guys, back to you.
Our final score, Texas Tech 59 and Texas 69. Don't forget, LHN brings you Women's Hoops on Wednesday at 7 with number 6 hosts, number 25 Oklahoma State here at the Irwin Center. We send you over to Texas Game Day Final, powered by Chevy Silverado.